In this Farming Simulator 25 Forestry Beginner's Guide video, I'm going to walk you through some of the key concepts of forestry and help you get started with this and help you understand how to play. So for this, what I suggest you do is go and get some downloadable content because it'll make life a little bit easier for you. So if you go into downloadable content, European maps, there's this thing called New Frontier, and this is made by autoloader. And if you have a little look in here, what's quite cool is in the recent changelog, it says one of the new maps is more focused on forestry gameplay. So I think it's quite a good map to use because you start out with a farm where there's lots of trees you can cut down and you can buy other plots of land with lots of trees on. So it just gets you up and running nice and quickly. So choose install down here. I've not got that option because it's already installed. So I've got uninstall here, but it will say install there for you if you've not done that already. So install that one. The other thing I suggest you do is if you have a little look down here, you may or may not have this depending on the platform that you're on, but if you go down to forestry and have a little look at wood transport, there's this option here called auto load wood, and these trailers will basically pick up the logs automatically for you and then you can sell them off later. So this is quite useful because it's a bit of a faff to load them. I will show you manual load as well, just so you can see the difference between them and what you could do, without this. So this, I'm not sure whether this is on everything, but I suggest you install that one as well. There's also this you could go for if you wish. There's a big old trailer here with an arm on it, and this back trailer here. If you want to load stuff manually, that's an option, but I'll show you different options for that as we go through. You could also chip wood, but I'm going to focus more on logging and probably cover that in a separate video because what I want to show here is how we can basically take wood and turn it into more advanced materials, things like furniture. So I'm going to show you all of that as we go. So once we've done that, we go to career, go and get a new save file like here, for example. Oh, slot 16, beautiful. And what you should have under save game options is New Frontier as an option when you tick this and go to New Frontier Forestry and then start out with your money of $1 million. So you've got plenty of money to work with. The start farm, yes, so you've got a bit of land to do your forestry on, and then make sure all this stuff is in green. So if it's not, select it and choose whatever it shows here. So if it's off like that at the minute, make sure it's on. So for the things that you want to play around with, so the auto load wood. There was another mod called measure, which you may or you may not want to. It's I'm probably not going to show it here, but because the way I want to work, I don't really need to manually measure stuff. But that is an option if you're going to be messing around with a chainsaw. And we'll be talking about different options for cutting down trees in this forestry beginner's guide to help you get up and running. So here we are on the farm, and your starting position is here with this here tractor and this thing that you may never have seen before. This is ridiculously useful for getting started with forestry because this enables you to pull logs along with your trusty winch on the back of your tractor. So it's pretty cool that you get that to start out with. However, we've got no way of cutting out anything at the minute, no way of chopping down trees, and we need to think about that. So if we hit escape first, this is the area that we've got, and if you go here you can see what you own. Oops, hang on, there we go, farmland. So owned is this current area here, and the cool thing about this plot, whilst we've got a couple of fields, we're more interested in this forestry bit over here. And what also is interesting, we have a shop, we have a little petrol station here, a farm shop, and there's also a sawmill here, so we can work with there for selling our wood. But I'm going to show you better ways to make money as we progress through this forestry beginner's guide. So let's go and have a little look at that land first of all. Let's get in our trusty tractor. So tab to go into there, and then I'm going to go off to see this beautiful bit of land that we own with a field that we're going to ignore completely. We're going to let that crop wither because we are interested in chopping down lots of trees, and we're going to go through different ways of doing that, how to transport it, how to sell it, and how to make it into cooler stuff. And I'm going to keep this fairly concise, or as concise as I can. Okay, so once we're in this area, if we hit E to come down, we have lots of trees. And one of the things you need for forestry is you need to own the land that you're going to chop down trees, or at least accept a contract on the bit of land where you want to chop down the trees. So this, if we have a little look at the map, I'm slap bang on my land here. So this has all these trees. These are my trees, so I can chop them down as I see fit. Now, two ways of really chopping down trees. One way is with your hand. No, I'm joking. We are not the Karate Kid. We are not Mr. Miyagi. We can't chop it down with a hand, but we can use a chainsaw. If you want to do that, you simply hit escape to go to this area. And actually, I'm telling Porkies we don't want to hit escape. We want to hit P. Go to this tab in the shop. So P is the tab for the shop. If it's different buttons on the controller that you're on, if you're on a console, hit the pause button, go to settings, and have a little look at what you control. So I find this control for shop. Anyway, chainsaw. This is the cheapest way of chopping down a tree and starting with forestry. All these chainsaws do the same thing. They are just different brands, different colors. So we'll go with the steel thing here. I will buy this for £1,000. Beautiful. So we've got that. And the good thing is that with hand tools, you automatically get them put into your inventory, or inventory for my US watchers here. So we switch the hand tool on the top left-hand side. You see it says switch hand tool. I hit number 1. I have my chainsaw. I can run around and slay demons, if there were any. There aren't, so we're just going to chop trees with this. So to do this, go up to the tree. You don't want to be chopping it like this, my friends. This will do nothing if we throttle the chainsaw. This is not going to cut down anything. You need to think a little bit more sensibly. What would a lumberjack do? They would do this. They would tilt the chainsaw with the right mouse button. So hold right mouse button or whatever it shows on the top left-hand side there. So advanced controls, can you see that just above the button for throttle chainsaw? It's showing a button that says right mouse button. Then I can roll the chainsaw. Now I want to crouch. I don't know what this is on the console, but for me on the PC it's control. It's probably left stick button or right stick button. And then I'm looking this close to the tree as to where I want to cut it. I'm moving up and down here to do this. And you want to cut it as near to the bottom as you can to make removing the stump that little bit easier later. And then hold down the left button or whatever button it shows for throttle chainsaw. And that should happen. And you have chopped down a tree. Get you, my friends. Now, this is the most faffy way of working in forestry. So it's possible that it is long-winded. What we do now is we move the chainsaw this way, and to make the most amount of money out of said trees here, you want to be going crouching down to these little tree branches and just hitting the chainsaw button when you're near them, and they should be removed here. So we are trimming the little branches off, and the reason you want to do this, it makes the tree a little easier to transport, and it also means you get a bit more money for it. But you can see it's faffy. I need to go through here carefully to chop the branches off, and it is a right pain. Now the other way, well, other problem about working like this is that not only is it time consuming, it's also not very accurate, because I can see by going up to this, you can see down the bottom it says length 9.1 meters, but for me to then work with this is difficult. Now there is a tool, a mod that we would talk about, and I need to remember what the button is. I think it's Alt. Was it Alt and left click? Let's see. Does that do it? No. Is it right click? Ah, there we go. Right click. Alt and right click. You see it says 0 meters. And if I go this way, if you look top left, it's showing me how to measure. So this is that measure mod I was talking about. So if you haven't got the measure mod, this won't work for you. But you can see I'm now 4.3 meters, 4.43. And the idea here is certain lengths of wood are worth a little bit more. So if you go between sort of 5 and 9 meters, I think it is, it's worth a little bit more. So if I say, right, that's where I want to chop, I go up to the tree here and attempt to chop it around about there. I should now have, let's chop the top off, a 5.3 meter log that I could now go and sell if I so wish. Let's get rid of the chainsaw. I'm exhausted after working that way. Now that, my friends, is the most pants way of working with trees. However, if you've got deciduous trees, and they would be, you know, like the big bushy trees, think of an oak tree or something like that, where you've got lots of branches coming off, that would be your option. You have to use the chainsaw. However, these beauties are nice and straight, and there is a much better way of chopping these ones down that I'm going to show you now. It will be a lot more expensive, which is why we put $1 million in the bank to start out with. So if we go back to the shop with P, and then what we're looking at is under forestry, we're looking at a harvester. So double click this, and this is the beauty that I like, the Komatsu, which is a whopping £449,000 to buy outright. If you don't want to do that, you could lease it, which would work out much cheaper. So if you're going to use this all the time, you would buy it and you'll get that money back eventually. But if you're just going to dabble, you can lease it for $22,975, which we'll do here to keep our money nice and healthy. So now we've got that. If we come all the way out and hit tab until we find this, we can now drive off. And another thing why I like this map is it's not too far to drive to our field that we own, because this thing's not very quick. You can see it drives at 12 miles an hour, but it's It's alright, you could load it onto a transporter if you're going to go further away. But this thing is awesome, and you will see why. So you saw how quick we chopped down a little tree. It took a little while with the chainsaw. This bad boy is going to smash through things much faster. So I'm going to show you how to use a harvester here, and this really is awesome for beginners to forestry, or anyone playing with forestry for that matter. So we're going to go up here and use the harvester. So the way it works is this. If you go close to a tree, you will get some additional options, or one additional option. If you look top left, watch this as I get closer. You see it says turn on tree harvester at the minute, but if I get closer there, you see it now says align harvester to target tree. And if I look at the tree up the top left there, you can see there's a little white circle, or a little white disc has appeared at the bottom of the tree. So if I hold down O, the harvester is now in a position where it can move close enough to chop that tree down. Now that's done. So now I release that, and that's in a position ready to cut that tree down. Now what's cool is I can change the tree cut length. You can see on the left hand side, if I hit Y, it will change that. So 6 meters, 8 meters, 9 meters, 12 meters. You see that on the left hand side? So I can choose what length of tree I want to work with. So let's say I want, for example, 9 meter cut. So I do that, and then all I need to do is hold down X to cut the tree. So hold down X, or whatever button it shows there, and the tree, check this out, is cut at 9 meter lengths and absolutely beasted along automatically for me. And any sort of little branches are just moved right out the way like that quick. So if the tree cutter stops and it's a bit difficult to move stuff, you can hold the advanced controls. So up the top left, you see advanced controls. I've got left mouse button. I could move it this way by up and down, or this way left and right. Or if I hold the right mouse button, I can lift it up a little bit by dragging down. And you just want to be doing that and moving to the next tree to harvest. And you just harvest away, and it's a lot of fun. I like this. I like this tool a lot, my friends. So we go up here, and then we're looking for that little highlight again when we're close enough. There we go. Oh, and you can see this is a pretty quick process to do this. So when you know what you're doing, and you would set the tree cut length on whatever, you know, makes sense for you for your logs. So this is pretty cool. Now when it comes to transporting logs, we've got a couple of different options. We could just pick up logs, you know, ourselves if we're feeling like the Hulk, and that is an option. Our farmer is surprisingly strong and can pick up about 150 kilos without a massive issue, but that's slow. We also need to take them somewhere to sell, or do we? Because we're going to talk about that. And yeah, this is something we need to solve. So I'm just going to cut down one more tree, so we've got plenty of things. And we're going to talk about how we sell wood, and also how we do that a little bit better over time as well. So one more tree. So we'll go O to do this here, and then we'll chop it again, like so. Wow, what a machine. What a machine. Very cool. Okay, so we've got a few logs there. Now we need to think about how we could transport these logs. And we've got a few options, and we're going to go through those. So let's move this thing out of the way and jump out of it. And if I tab over, you remember we had that starting tractor? So this is one thing that you can do to move the logs. And it is by using a winch. And as we've got this for free, or included with our farm, this is one way we could go. So if you go up to the logs that you want to move, and then jump out your tractor with E, you can go to the back of the tractor, grab your winch. So if I go here until I see that option, there we go, pull winch rope, press R for that. Then I can go over to one of these logs, and then attach to tree to winch. So you can see B up the top left, hit that. And then I can go to another one and say attach another tree with R. And then hit that, so we'll go B again, and another tree with R, and hit that again. So we've got those 3 logs now. Now, we can sell wood immediately by taking it to the sawmill, and or whoever buys wood. So if we hit the escape button, and have a little look here on the prices, and then go down to wood, all the way down here, we can see there's no fluctuation for this product. It's just the same at the minute. And if I just move me, let me just move me down so you can see, that's how much the sell price is. So if we go to the sawmill, that's how much we're going to get. Now, what you can do is we can just select this here and go, I don't know where the sawmill is, and then choose this down the bottom, tag place. And then if we escape out, we tab into our tractor, I can see 585 meters that away, we can sell this stuff. All right, so we're going to do that in this case. Now, this is about the least profitable way you can do it, but you can still make a lot of money working this way by taking your wood to here. And there are more profitable ways that, you know, you can turn stuff into wood chips, can be very profitable, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I want to cover that in a separate one. So if you're thinking about pure profit, there is a solid argument for doing that. But we're going to focus on just working with the wood and going into production chains. But I'm just showing you that, you know, one thing you could do to sell wood is just to drag it off to this place. So I'll probably cut to this bit so you can see. So we're now at the sawmill. You can see 80 meters to go. One of the things that threw me is when you go here and you go, oh, there's the dumping ground. For some reason, and I'm not sure whether this is a bug at the minute or just an intentional way of changing things, you need to move forwards to here, drag it into this area, and then get out your tractor. I don't think there's another way of doing this at the minute, but then you go over here to this little tiny exclamation mark, and when you go up to this, you'll see that it says sell wood. So hit that R, and then your wood is sold. We made £3,000 from that. We are done. So then we can get back in our tractor, come away from here, and then go back to working on the, you know, wood on our farm. So I'll cut to another bit where we're going to do something a bit more interesting with that wood moving forwards. Okay, so we've got some wood, and you know how to chop that down now. You know how to sell wood. What about if you want to do something a bit more interesting with it? You want to make a bit more money, turn it into something else. Well, you can do that by building your own production chain. And I'm going to show you the first step, which is the simplest, that will turn wood into planks that you can sell. And then we're going to take that another step further by spending even more money and showing you other options that you can do with it as well. So if you go into build mode, for me that's Shift P. If you're on a console, hit the pause button, have a little look at your controls and see what build is. But here on the second tab, we've got factories. And if you go down through here, you'll find all sorts of stuff, sawmills, spinneries, coopers, etc. But to get you started isn't a big expenditure. Just down here is your own sawmill. And this will take the wood that you collect and turn it into planks that you can sell. So if we select this, then I can think about where I want to place this on my farm. So I'm just going to pop it here. You can hold down the right mouse button to rotate it around just to make dropping stuff off that a little bit easier. So I'm going to pop it there. Done. So press that. It's cost me 36,000. And now what I have is the option to turn that into something else. So we'll just winch up a couple of these, and then I'll show you how this works. So if we drag these over to this sawmill, what will happen this time is these are immediately put into storage as I go forwards to the sawmill. So check it out, drag over, and they disappear immediately, and you're probably going, where the heck did they go? So you can see a couple of little bits didn't quite go in there, so we might need to attach those again. We'll just drag these into the sawmill. So now they're in, let's have a little look what we've got. If we have a little look in here, I'll just move me down just so I can explain what's going on again. We've now got 1,773 litres of wood, and at the minute we're not doing a lot with it, but we could turn this wood into outgoing products. So we could say planks long, wood beams, and basically sell all of this. So this is an option that we've got here. So what you want to be doing here is thinking about this wood. If we went for planks or wood beam, is any of these worth any money? So if we look at this, the prices, we can see wood beams are actually not worth a great deal at the minute here. You can see they're worth a little bit. But if we have a little look at planks, for example, let's see whether planks are worth anything at the moment. So we've got planks standard, all right. So, and this one is a bit low at the minute. So we could debate what we wanted to make. So we could say we're going to make them and sell them immediately, or you could store them if you wanted and just make them for later, or you could move them into further into the production chain and use them on other things. So let's say we want to make wood planks and wood planks long. To do that, all we need to do is click on this, and down the bottom, you see there it says change output mode. So we change that to whether we want to store, sell, or distribute. So I'm going to say I want to sell them as soon as I make them. And I know that's not good at the minute because the price isn't great, but I'm just showing you how it works. Activate with enter. So you see just down the bottom there. And then this lights up. And then same with wood planks. Let's make some of those as well. And then what should happen is the sawmill will now start producing stuff with that wood and immediately sell it. So that's what we're going to do here. So we'll just leave that to work. And I'll come back to it in a bit once I've got a bit more wood. Now you can see that I've got quite a few bits of wood here that I've been chopping up at various different bits, and this is now a bit of a headache to start using. I could still winch stuff off, no problem here, but what if I want to use, you know, a trailer to get all of this gathered together a bit better? A couple of things you're going to need: some sort of way of picking up the logs, and there are many different ways of doing that, and also something to store them on. So if we have a little look at the shop, let's talk about some of these possible options that we've got. You could go with a wood transport, just to transport the wood, and some of these have a carrier on the back, like this one here, but having that on the back means you're a little bit limited with what size wood you can put on here, because that's not actually that long, so that's a possibility. You could get yourself a big old trailer like this, and I'm going to show you this one as an example. So we're going to lease this, so it's going to cost me $1,500. We'll get that from the shop, and then we need something to pull that thing, and then we're also going to talk about these auto loads as well, so I'll show you the difference with it. But we're also going to need some sort of way of picking that up, and again, lots of different options for this. But if you look under the miscellaneous, for example, there's this high lift one here, and I'm also going to lease that and just show you that in action. You could also use a tractor with a front loader, but you've not really got that high an arm. But if you go that way, so I'll show that in a separate video, how to attach a front loader to a tractor. You attach one of these to the tractor, and then you can look at front loader tools, particularly for, where is it? There's one, oh, there you go, log fork. So you could pick up logs with that, but it is a bit faffy. So the other thing we need, though, is if we're going to use that big transporter, is some sort of way to transport it. So I'm going to use a truck. And again, the problem you can have here is getting that into position might be difficult. So I'm going to go with this. But if you were on a hill or something, or there's loads of wood in the way, this could be a big problem, which is why you may want the winch to pull the wood out to an area where you can get the truck. So let's go and get that from the shop and have a go with that. So the first thing I'm going to show is just picking stuff up with this, because one option is you could use this to transport logs to wherever you want to drop them off at, be that the sawmill or anything else that we go thereafter. But let's just use this as an example and show you how this works. So front loaders all work in a pretty similar way. You can see advanced controls up above select camera, and I've got left mouse button and right, is it both mouse buttons? Yeah, both mouse buttons. And the way this works, and again, it is the faff, but you go over here, hold those, and then you can see cycle right and left by holding both mouse buttons will do that. And if I go up and down, I will open this up. So moving up is moving that so I can go forwards. And now I'm going to use left mouse button and move up again just to drop this down so we can grab all of these at once. So now both mouse buttons, and then I'm going to yeah, that's working, I think. It's gone underneath though, hasn't it? So let's just see if I can... You can see the problem with it is it's faffy. And now both mouse buttons, just trying to lock onto these by dragging down. And then when it's locked into place like it's done there, I don't know if you can see, I'll try and lift this up so you can see. We've got a couple of them here. Obviously not my best work there, but I have got them. Just trying to illustrate, I suppose, that this is a faff working this way, but you could take these off this way, appear to be stuck on something, and then drive these off to drop off. It's a stump in the way. We do need to talk about removing stumps as well. Like this. And then we'll drop that wood off. And as we get near, there you go. So we've put that wood in there. So that is one option. Now another option, if you don't want to drive them with there, is to use a similar tool to this to load up a trailer, which we'll talk about now as well. So if we tab over to the trailer, we've got this big old truck here, so we would move this into position. So I need to just drive this forwards and put this on the trailer. So this would be if you're going to be transporting further afield, and you want to just load up gradually. But this is the manual load method, which is annoying as heck. So we would put this here like this, and then move to whatever tool we're going to pick up stuff with, like this one here, and then I will attempt to load something here. But I've got stuff all over the place here. So we've locked that in place. Now we lift it up. You can see this is painful, huh? Now, obviously, the more practice you get at this, the better you would get at it. But I'm just trying to illustrate that this is a pain. And why a mod is probably the preferred, or just winch stuff to the location that you want to take it to. But if you want it to work this way, you could. So here we are by the trailer. And then, you're just going to be going over it here like this. And then lowering down until it's on the trailer in a sensible place. And then opening this up. Hopefully it'll drop into place like so. So you can see it is a laborious process, that, and doesn't even look that stable. So what you can then do is jump out of here, and you want to be strapping those down, but obviously playing around until you can get them as good as you can on here. But you can then go up to this and then work with strapping things down like there, so I can fasten the tension belt, and hopefully that will hold it in place as we drive. But you'd obviously load up a lot more than that. But I'm just illustrating why this is pants, because this drives me crackers, this modem, which is if you want to do that, knock yourself out. But you'll see as we go off to here, we should be able to just load that straight to the sawmill, like we did with the other things. There we go. So that's done, and then you could just keep going like that. However, I think you're better off with the auto load one, which I'm going to show now. So what we'll do is we'll hit escape, and then just return that vehicle. So I'm going to go, I don't want that, man. So where is it? It's that one. I'm going to return that, and I'm going to show you the auto load one and why it's so much better. So for that, we're going to go to the shop, and again look at the, where is it? The forestry wood transport. And these are from that mod that we saw. So we've got a 12 meter, a 15 meter, and a 20 meter. I only really need the 12 meter, I would think, because I've not done bigger cuts than that. So that should be fine for me. You can see you can attach it to a tractor using a dolly, or use it with the thing we've got here. So I'm going to say yes, please. You can change a few bits about it, but we're not bothered about that. So we'll just lease that for the minute, and I'll just show you how this works and why it's good. So here we are at the shop, and you can see up the top left hand side we've got lots of new things. So we've got auto load wood and all that sort of stuff, and you can just turn that on with B, and normally it'll just start picking stuff up as we go. So as we come to all of these bits of wood that we've got here, if we hit B, and you can see it's just auto loading now, but what we should see is it'll just start figuring out stuff as we go forwards here. There you go. So we've got one there. And then we just keep driving around, and it should just start figuring out where things are. So you just give it a moment when it's in a position where it can find the wood, and it should grab quite a few of these. Obviously this is a bit of a mess where I've gone here. There's another couple there. And then when you're happy with that auto load, just check whether we've got to strap them or not. I'm not sure. Yeah, we can do. So we'll fasten those like that, and there, just to make sure that they don't fly off. And then we can take those off to sell in just the same way as we did before, but it's a lot easier than manually loading stuff. There you go, all done. So I think that is the optimum way of moving those quickly, as opposed to the other things. And of course that means you don't need that hoof and big vehicle that we saw before to manually put the bits onto the trailer, so it's going to save you a lot of money. Now, one of the things that you will probably want to do is cut down or get rid of tree stumps over time. So they are quite annoying because they're in the way of stuff. And as long as you've cut the tree stump down quite low, as you can see there, you can go and get a stump remover to sort this out. So if we hit Q to drop this off of the tractor, what we can do is, if we go to the shop, under forestry, you'll find stump cutters. And if you select that, and then we'll just lease that, for example, here. And then I'll just nip to the shop and get that for you. And a quick trick for that, if you want to go to the shop quickly, is if you get out your tractor, so you go here, whoops, and then hit escape and look at your map. Find your tractor that you just got out of, like, it's not that one, is it? Although I will return that because we don't need that anymore. But the tractor is there. What I can do is reset it, and then it will send it off to the shop location. So if you hit your tab command, you're instantly at the shop. Pretty cool trick, huh? So we're going to go here, and then I'm just going to reverse onto this. So this is our stump remover. This is really easy to use, the stump grinder, but I'll just show you how it works. But you'll see we need to drive over the stump with a tractor, which is why it works well with a tractor and nothing else. And just behind us, we've got like a big old grinder that will grind that stump down. So really, really easy to use. We just go up to here like so. Turn on the stump grinder at the top left, and then we just drive over our stump. So there's a stump just there. If we can manage to drive over it with our tractor like so, check it out, it's gone. It's that quick. So you want to be working on that before, you know, planting new trees, just so it's all out of the way. But again, here you can do it like so. Now sometimes you might get a stump that's a little bit big like this one, so one of the things you could do is just chop that down a little bit more with your chainsaw. So if you go out here and then just see whether you can get a lower cut on it. So just crouch down, just see, so I can cut it there. But you can use the, there's a mod where you can use the chainsaw to get rid of things. But if we now put that out of the way, I'll go to first person. And then we'll just move that out of the way like that. And get back in our stump grinder. You'll see now we can get rid of that because that was just a little bit too big. Like this. And remember to turn on the stump grinder with B. And it's gone. Really cool. Okay, so I want to talk about taking the production chain a little bit further. So what else could you do here? So we've got wood planks, long wood planks, and we're saying just sell them immediately, and that's what's been going on. So as they're coming in, if we speed up time now, we'll be able to see that. So we've got the wood in there. This is my only source of income at the minute. So we've got planks going on there. And if you look at the money up the top of this screen, if I just move me back here like this and we speed up time, so we hit escape, we go settings here and ramp that time up, we'll see that we're selling those planks and earning a little bit of money from them. So if we do that and then just watch that money there as we drive around, just do something for interest while we're doing that. We could look for more tree stumps. 911815 and we'll just look at that again in a minute. But there's a stump there that I could do. Let's turn that on. Again, that's the same problem that we had before with the chainsaw, but you can see 9012, sorry, 912381 now, so we are clearly making money from those. But we can take that even further. So let's hit the settings and slow that down again. And I'll just show you where else you could go with this. So you could go to production chain, sorry, we could go to build mode and then think about, you know, adding more to our capabilities here. So we've got a sawmill, but under factories there's other things you could do as well. So for example, you could go and find, where is it? If you go through them, what you'll see is different things will do different stuff. Like a Cooper will take those planks and turn them into barrels and other bits and bobs here. And there is also carpentry somewhere. Where is there? There's a bigger sawmill here that will turn it into even more things like wood chips and stuff. But up above here, is it that one? There you go, carpentry. So this will start producing furniture. So if we, this is obviously a lot more expensive. So this is 300,000 for this. But if we put it here, what we can then do is make a slightly more complicated production chain. So we'll pop that in and I'll show you how this works. Because this is hopefully helping you understand, you know, how you can make something a bit more impressive with your wood and your forestry. So if we hit escape, I'll move me to bottom right again so you can see what's going on. What we've now got is, so the sawmill has wood, and we're saying at the minute, look, we want you to sell it. But what we can say instead is, actually, I don't want you to sell the wood anymore. I want to use it in here, in the carpentry. So I need to set up the carpentry first. So you can see from planks long, I could make some furniture, or I could make it from planks, or I could make it from wood. So you're free to use any of these. So we could skip the sawmill entirely, but having the sawmill working on it may make sense, possibly. I'm still trying to debate whether there is any benefit making this. I suppose because you can sell wood planks if you had too many of them, perhaps. Whereas here you can't sell the wood planks, you can only sell furniture. So I suppose the point about having the sawmill would be if you see there's a demand for wood planks somewhere else, this makes sense. But if there's not, you could either store them or send them off to the carpentry. So what we're going to say, though, is we're going to say, and again, I suppose we should be checking the prices to see whether it's even worth it. So we go prices and we look at furniture. And you can see furniture is worth quite a bit of money here, or we could manually transport it off to other places if we want. So you can either sell it immediately from your own place or go to one of these places if you so wish. But what we're going to do here is say, I'm going to use long planks and planks to make furniture. So to do this, I need to activate these. So we'll select this one here and choose activate with enter. And this one here, activate to enter. And I also want to change the output mode. So I'm pressing space bar, and this is saying immediately sell them. If I changed it to distribute, it would go elsewhere if there was anything else that used furniture, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But we're going to say sell it immediately. If I went for storing, what would happen is I can hold up to 47,000 litres of these, and that would be useful if I was going to store them for a point of the year where they're going to be worth more money. So that's an option which I'll probably show you as well. But let's just say we're going to sell them immediately, but we want the sawmill to be turning these planks here. So now we're going to say the wood, whoops, let's go there. The wood, we want to change the output mode to distributing, and this one as well. And then what this is going to say is that's going to go here. And then it's going to be immediately sold as furniture. So we've now got nothing being sold here with these things. You can see nothing at all. We're not making any of these because these aren't active, but this is just now going to move these off to carpentry, and we're going to sell the carpentry. So let's see what happens there if we speed up time. So what we should see is that works. So we think. So if we have a little look here, we should start seeing, yeah, there you go. So you see we're making planks, but the planks will immediately go elsewhere. So we'll see from the carpentry, now we're making furniture, but that furniture is being sold pretty much straight away. And you can see materials are missing, so we need to wait for the sawmill to make the stuff before we can make more. But we should see at the top, our income is changing as time progresses. So 611, 618, 612, 111, etc., etc. So you just see it keeps sort of bouncing around between the different production chains to make different things. You can also add the Cooper and make the barrels and stuff like that, and keep building it that way. But hopefully that makes sense on, using. I know this has gone nighttime. Let's go to sleep. So we go to the following day, and you just keep making money that way, like so. I think we've covered most bits about forestry. I suppose the only thing we haven't covered, which I can do quickly for you as well, and then you've got pretty much everything you can really need for basic forestry, is what about if you want to plant trees? How do you do that? So we'll cover that just before we finish off. And to do that, there's a couple of different things you can do. The easiest way is to go into build mode. So if you hold Shift P, if you go under here, you've got various trees that you can build, and at a certain price. But a lot of these can be worth a bit of money. So large lodgepole pine, 2,700. You may make more than that turning it into other things. So you can build that for 2,700, have an instant tree to work with. And I'll just prove that to you. You can see that tree is huge, but we're just going to chop it down straight away, and you can see that that works the same as any other. But not with that. I'm not going to chop it down with a flaming tree cutter. I need that. Where the heck is that tree? Where's it gone? How can I miss a tree? Oh, there it is. So we could just cut that down just the same as any other tree, which is cool. So that's basically a way of getting trees instantly. But your other thing that you can do is plant trees. The downside of planting trees is it takes years for them to grow. So it's like quite a process. But if you chop all these trees down and you need to get more trees, then that's a cheaper way than buying them from here, but you have to wait for that time. So maybe you do a bit of a mix between the different things. But I'll just show you planting trees as well. For that, we'd need a tractor. So again, I could transport that to the shop instantly. There we go. All right, so let's get out of there. Run away over here. And grab that. Where the heck? There we go. Reset. Okay, so to plant trees, all you need to do is go to the shop, which is P, isn't it? And you need a couple of things. The first thing you're going to need is some sort of planter. And there's this one works on a massive excavator, and that's some serious stuff, but that's very accurate planting. If you just want to plant loads of trees in a line, you can use this, the Damcon PL75. And that's the one I'm going to use here. So I'll double click this, and we'll just say lease it. I will say yes. Okay. And then you need to make a decision on what sort of trees you want to build, or what sort of trees you want to plant even. And we're going to go for, I'm trying to think where they are now. Under forestry, saplings, there you go. So we need that under forestry. And you need to pick what tree saplings you want. So you can see these here or these here. 20 pieces or 240 pieces. These will take much longer to grow. These will be a bit quicker. There's only 20 of these already. Or these ones, there's 240. So you get much better return on these than these, but they will take longer to grow. So let's say we're going to go with the saplings. We double click this. The important thing that you need to pick is what tree you're going to grow. So they all need to be the same. So let's say we want a lodgepole pine, which is that one that we just chopped down. So we're going to plant loads of those. We'll buy that, $7,000, painful, but that's going to make 240 of them. So longer term, it's going to make us a lot of money. And then we need to pop this onto our tractor like so. I'll just pop this on, Q. And then you see, as long as you're next to the saplings, you can refill the tree planter with R. They are on there now. And then you just go and find wherever you want to plant them. So I'm just going to start planting them off anywhere really on this area here. So we go here, we turn on the tree planter with B, we lower it with V, and now as we go, you see there's a little tree pops out now and again. I'll just show you as it drops. So I'll wait a certain distance. The one dropped there as well, and we should see another one. And trees don't need anything special apart from time to grow, so you just keep going forwards with this and plant them. So it's suggesting a distance between each tree to make sure the tree's got plenty of time to grow. But you can see down below we've planted 5 trees just above my speedos. It says tree saplings. So you just go around like this, plant the trees, wait a couple of years. Each tree has a certain growth time, but it's painful, but that's the way it works. So I think we've covered most things with forestry. The only thing I didn't really cover is wood chips, which you can do in a variety of different ways. You can get a wood chipper. What the heck is that? All under here, wood chippers. So either this big machine or this big machine, and then you can basically load in deciduous trees into this, cut it into small bits with a chainsaw, load it in, and then you'll get wood chips fly out of here. You can also use the carpenters, not the carpentry. Some of these will output some. One of the other buildings will output wood chips at the same time as making other things, so you can use those as well. But I know this is getting a long video. I didn't want to get it this long, so I'm going to cut it now. And if you want to know about wood chips, I'll cover that in a separate video. You can also grow poplar to make wood chippings. But all sorts of stuff there. We covered a lot of ground. If it was useful to you, give us a thumbs up, please. Much appreciated. Any comments welcome. I hope you found this Farming Simulator 25 Beginner's Guide to Forestry of use. If you did, hit that subscribe would be awesome, and let me know what you thought. Thanks.